Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gypsy Poet Radio. I'm the Gypsy Poet, and this weekend we have an amazing band straight out of Texas, just like your girl here. Please welcome Josh and the Jet Knights.
Hello.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Thank you for having us, or having me, since it's just Chris, the drummer, again tonight. But sometimes it only takes one of us.
Yes, of course. Since I know that you're one of the reps of the band here, what I'd like to know is who are your band influences, like your music influences, what are bands that you listen to, that stuff. Talk to me.
All right. So we are a relatively diverse melting pot of influences. For Josh, who's our lead singer and guitarist, his biggest influences are U2, Oasis, and Bruce Springsteen, which makes a lot of sense in a number of ways. I mean, because he's the primary songwriter, it makes sense that a lot of his influences are really strong songwriters. So that definitely helps from the rest of us. For Matt, our bass player, his biggest influences are Jaco Pastorius, Rush, Metallica, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Nirvana. Those are definitely bands that he's used to kind of define what his bass sound is, and how he approaches the instrument and how he chooses to integrate that sound with us. And me, some of my biggest influences, The Who. I love me a good Keith Moon drum part. I can't play them like he can, because nobody can, but there's definitely some insanity there that's just super fun to listen to. Breaking Benjamin is another big favorite. It's always a band that I go back to when I'm trying to work stuff out. And Tom Petty, which is kind of a left turn from the other two, but there's something to be said for the amount of innovation and sounds that he was able to get from, essentially not many chords in any songs, and yet you listen to him and he's got a sound, but everything still sounds unique. So that's definitely one of those things that at least I think is something to aspire to be able to get that type of unique sound with essentially relatively basic song structure.
Pretty awesome. I like that answer. And what I enjoy most is the musical influences that are listed here. And to see that is a rarity. They're pretty old, but the thing is they've lasted and they've stood the test of time. So that's an amazing answer to give me. All of these, they're simply wonderful. Like, for example, you bringing up The Who, Breaking Benjamin, and Tom Petty, Josh with U2, Oasis, and Springsteen, and Matt with Jaco Pastorius, Rush, Metallica, RHCP, Nirvana, At the Drive-In, Volpec. Very cool. These are great influences. Let's get into this next question. This is something I have been watching very carefully, because I grew up with MTV being just strictly music videos. And I want to see more of that coming back, in all honesty. And we've got YouTube that has given access to people to make these things happen. And so I wanted to ask this. Have you ever thought about making a music video of any of your songs? Can you answer me that?
Oh yeah. So not only have we thought about it, we actually got to do it for our most recent album. So the new album is called The Sound of Love Burning. It just released February 21st so just like three weeks ago now, and we were able to do a video for Am I Getting to You, which is the fourth track on the album. And it was kind of weird how it all came about. We had been kind of kicking around the idea and trying to figure out, how we might make this happen, because, I mean, there's only so much money to go around between everything, and, videos, if you're not careful, can get really expensive really quickly, depending upon what your definition of expensive is. And we got reached out to by a local filmmaker by the name of Carlos Rosales, who goes by Theory817 on Instagram, if you want to look him up. And he basically reached out saying, hey, I've listened to some of your guys' stuff. I really love it. I'm trying to build my video portfolio. Do you want to make a video? And it was one of those things where once we got past the initial shock of like, we were just talking about this literally like 2 days before. And once we got kind of past the shock and reached out, to him and kind of, made sure this was actually a legit thing. And once we figured out, no, he's actually serious about this, the video itself came together really, really quickly. And you can find that on our YouTube channel. You have to search YouTube for Josh and the Jet Noise, because we don't have quite enough subscribers yet to get the cool custom channel name, but we're close. We're getting there. So yeah, that was definitely, that's kind of been one of the high points for me, because I'm 40 years old. I've been in bands off and on since I was 20. This is the first time that I've ever done like a pro shot music video. So this was kind of one of those milestones for me, just like, hey, I did a thing. This is really cool. So yeah, definitely an exciting thing for us.
I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do. I mean, your music is amazing and fun to listen to, and there's just so many crazy sounds in it. Very much what I like, okay? Now, since we were talking about music videos, the next question is, what kind of imagery would you want to compile for your songs?
So I think that this time around with the current album, being, about the relationship cycle and how it goes from, really, really good to great to really not good to acceptance and time to restart. I think the kind of the imagery that we got with our album art that this time around with the burning down matches, the burning down matchbook, really kind of captured the whole arc and flow of what we were after. And for that, we really have to give a shout out to Marco Caldwell of Mackie Creative. He's the person who actually did all of our artwork for this album, and he knocked it out of the park. Hands down, just knocked it out of the park. As far as other imagery for some of the other songs, we're still kind of thinking about if there's going to be another video from the album, and if there is, how we do want to visualize that. So unfortunately, I don't have a really good, definitive, this is the thing that we want to do. We just know that, there's this album and these songs definitely have, there's definitely some more visual storytelling that we would like to do with them, and we just need to figure out what's going to be the best method and result for that.
Stuff. So going into this question, imagery in the last 40 years, I should say, has been a big part of creating music. And so bands always get together to come up with ideas and conceptions and things of that nature to come up with a visualization of what their songs should be visualized as for MTV, and now especially YouTube and probably other music channels that are available out there. Now, for you guys, what do you love best about this part of the process of creating music?
You know, I think for us, the part of the process that we really enjoy with music, it isn't necessarily always creating the visuals. I think the part of the process that we genuinely enjoy the most is that point at which you get on stage and you get to play a new song live, because the way that we see our music and music in general is music exists to make you feel something. It exists to elicit some type of emotional response, whether that response is happy, sad, angry, upset. You know, it should always make you feel something. And until you get the music in front of people that aren't you, you don't always necessarily know how people are going to receive it and what emotions it's going to elicit from them. And so that point at which a song goes from being a theory, you know, because when it's in practice, when you're just practicing it before you play it live the first time, the song's just a theory. You think it's going to be received a certain way. You think that people are going to respond to it a certain way. Once you get on stage with it and actually play it and see people's responses, like that's when the music actually becomes real. And that's when you get to see how people are responding to this thing that you've created. And that's the part where everything really comes alive, and you get that visceral feedback from people. And there's nothing more satisfying than, you know, playing any song at a show and having somebody come up afterward and say, man, that song, you know, whatever, that song really spoke to me. It really made me feel, and I love that song. So yeah, that's our favorite part of the whole creation process, is the actual getting the music in front of people and having them tell us what it made them feel.
I love that. So there's two more questions I want to throw in before we get to the first song. But the first question I want to see here answered is, besides bands, what are other influences you have in your music, like any books with crazy ideas or any kind of poetry or something, or even anything that has an artistic endeavor that's been brought to your attention that you guys decided to write about?
You know, this is more fairly a question for Josh, but I'm going to answer it for him anyway because I can. Because Josh is the you know, I've mentioned before. I mean, he is the person that, you know, writes the songs initially and then brings them in for Matt and me to add color to. And he is always challenging himself, you know, with different kind of scenarios on how he's writing. You know, he's either, you know, digging around in his past, which is how we got on the song on the Streets from the new album, or he'll set himself weird songwriting challenges, like writing a James Bond theme song to a song that doesn't exist, which is how we got Deadly Affair off the first album. But generally, you know, the stuff that gets written is all pretty grounded in reality and you know, and things that are kind of common experience across everything. I mean, we're not Rush. We're not out there writing sci-fi epics. That's not our genre. That's not our lane. We definitely tend to be more in the we're gonna it's gonna be writing about the things that we know, which is kind of the relationship stuff and all of that kind of funness, as it were.
And last question before we get to the song: have there been any cover songs that's been popular with your audiences?
Well, we don't play covers, and we've been pretty fortunate. I don't say fortunate. It's not something that we've really wanted to do as a band. When we got together, there were some initial conversations about things, especially in the beginning when we were writing, initial songs to get to have enough songs to be able to play our first show. There were some conversations about playing covers, and it isn't that any of us are necessarily against covers. There's definitely bands in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that we play with that play covers, and they do amazing jobs at them. It's not something that we've necessarily think is right for how we want to go forward with our music. Would we play a cover in the right situation? Oh, for sure. That's just not something that's part of our normal set, though.
Okay. That's a good answer to a wonderful question. All right. So I'm going to play one of your songs. It's called Am I Getting to You? And I enjoyed this one when I heard it. So I'm going to give everyone else the pleasure of listening in on this song because it's quite an adventure. Here we go. This is called Am I Getting to You by Josh and the Jet Noise.
Maybe next time when you gotta show your hand,
to You by Josh and the Jet Noise. What a great sound they got. Very, very, very fun to listen to. Awesome. So, Chris, tell me.
Yep.
The story behind the music. Yeah, the story behind the song, please. The story behind the music.
All right, so this is the fourth track off of the new album, and this is the part of the relationship where you're still in love with each other, but things that were cute at the beginning of the relationship are really starting to piss you off, and so you're kind of in that you're in that stage of, man, where am I with this? Am I going to go back to the am I going to decide this is fine and it's good? We're going to go back to the in love stage, or are we going to go? We're both just going to decide each of these things are pissing us off too much, and we're going to go the other way with it. So, it's a deceptively unhappy song for how happy and poppy the music is.
Yes. I call it the happy disconnection. the lyrics are like agitating, but the melody's happy. I love it because it runs in music quite often. I love it. Wow, that was awesome. Okay. I want to ask about Texas. The last three questions involved great state of Texas. I'm based here in San Antonio, as you obviously know, and I love this city. Trust me, this is a beautiful city. San Antonio is a gorgeous city, especially at night, because the lights shine and the moonlight just blesses this town when it comes to nighttime. It is a beautiful and gorgeous town. It shines like a sequin handbag, like I said in one of my pieces. It's absolutely fabulous. But I want to know, what do you love best about Texas as a state? So tell me that.
Certainly not the weather. The weather in North Texas is atrocious and can't make up its goddamn mind, and that part of Texas sucks. And anybody who lives up here who tries to claim otherwise is lying. As far as things that I do like about Texas, I mean, I'm from California. I moved here about 6 years ago. So for me, the cost of living here, even though it is definitely markedly higher now than it was when my wife and I moved out here, it's still way better than it was in California. So from that aspect, there's definitely an ability for us to do more because the cost of living is less. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Pantera being the Cowboys from Home, and ZZ Top being the most amazing rock and blues band in the world, have done a great job with putting their stamp on Texas. How about yours?
Honestly, we would be happy with putting our stamp just on the Dallas-Fort Worth area. When you start talking about, bands that are literally legendary, like both Pantera and ZZ Top are, those are moonshot bands. And in the initial, we would be happy with, just people in all of DFW knowing who we are. And if somehow, some way we get moonshot and, the world ends up knowing who we are, awesome. But, we have relatively modest goals to start with.
That's good to have. And Texas is one of the best places to set those goals. Last but not least, what do you love about doing live shows in Texas?
So we're going to narrow it down to DFW because that's where we play pretty much all all of our shows currently. Honestly, the thing that we love is how deep the music scene is here right now. There are so many amazing bands that we have the honor of sharing stages with, and it's mind-boggling sometimes just how many amazing bands there are. And on nights when we're not playing and we decide, hey, let's go out to a show, trying to narrow down what show to go to is a task, because there's usually like 3 or 4 shows. Like, well, I like that band, and I like that band, and I like that band, and I like all these other bands, and none of them are playing at the same place. So, just the depth of talent in the area that we get to be exposed to is pretty fantastic.
It is totally much so. So, what I want to get to is say thank you to everybody who tuned in, even my friend Shah Sahib over in Pakistan, which I'm very grateful that he tuned in, and of course my friend James Valma out in Midland, Texas. So I think you just gained 2 new fans on when it comes down to your music. So I'm really proud of that. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Those of you just tuning in, I just was talking to Chris from Josh and the Jet Noise, and this is part 2 of the program. We've got one more night on GPR, and after that, Josh and the Jet Noise are taking off. And before we do that, what I want to do is I want to get to your song, Hold Back. Very good song, and a wonderful experience to listen to. So let's go ahead and get to that. And if you have a short story behind the music on this one, let's do it.
So this is the acceptance that the entire relationship cycle has finished. You've burned down to the nub, and it's time to start the process again.
Gotcha. I like that. All right. This is a Gypsy Poet signing off, saying adieu for now from Texas with the wonderful Chris from Josh and the Jet Noise Part 2, and this is Hold Back.
I find regret unhelpful.